Waukeen enters the dark forest next to the lost town where Catherine, the mysterious woman, had met with him. He was following the map that she had given, and the trails that go into the forest seemed overgrown, thick. He had a hard time navigating through it, trying his best to follow what she had marked on this very, very difficult to read map. Now he's leading Onyx through this dense forest as well, trying to find the best path to fit through because it was just so overgrown and so enshrouded, he couldn't really see. He noticed as he went through the forest that it was dark and quiet. There was a silence that just seemed to always be there, a stillness in the air. He couldn't hear wind through the trees, he couldn't hear birds chirping, he couldn't hear anything, just silence. And of course, this shadow that seemed to be cast all over the forest. He couldn't figure out what caused it to be so dark, yet while daylight. And it wasn't just the canopy of trees above him that made him realize this. There was just a darkness. He just couldn't seem to see through as well as he thought he should be able to. But nevertheless, he continued through this forest, continued looking for the path that she had written or drawn on the map. And he looked and tried to find a way, but he just wasn't sure if he was on it or not. Studying this map as best he could, trying to make the best amount of time he could, he knew that there was at least 2 days of travel through the forest. And then he knew there was even more traveling to do once he got through the forest, because on the other side of the forest was supposed to be a mountain range that he had to traverse to get to this location where she said this scroll was going to be. So he continued through the forest as best he could. As Waukeen was going through the forest and this eerie silence that surrounded him, almost like he could hear a ringing in his ears because it was so quiet, always feeling like something was watching him. He was always looking around. It just felt off. But he pushed through, and finally he realized it was starting to get dark, almost like it was getting dark earlier than expected. But it was very hard to tell what time it was, keeping up with the travelings that he was doing with the canopy of trees above him, and unable to really see that far. He just knew it's getting dark, that he needed to make camp. So as he's going to make camp, he really has to just clear a bunch of brush. There was never been an opening this whole way. It's just been a very light trail, hard to see. The naked eye would probably not even realize it was there if you didn't know to look for it. But he did his best. He continued on until he found a place that he felt like he could clear the brush enough to at least lay down, maybe even start a fire, and a place for Onyx to also rest. So as he's clearing the brush, it's getting darker and darker very quickly. So he's trying to hurry, and he clears it out. He makes a little spot for them. Onyx is next to him. He sets up on his little camping stuff, and then he has a fire that he starts up. And when he starts this fire up, it's burning pretty well. He's got plenty of wood around to make sure that he can keep it going throughout the night. Well, while he was sitting there resting, he was just kind of listening, trying to see if he could hear anything. And as the night progressed, he heard more and more stirring out in the woods. Wasn't sure what it was, couldn't make out exactly what type of creature it may have been, but he was just listening. Nothing sounded like it was trying to come up towards him, just heard them out in the woods going through the leaves. So it made him feel better knowing there was some life out there, but knowing what kind of life it was the question. So he sits there, he starts to finally doze off, and the next thing he knows, he hears all of this rustling near him. He jumps up with his sword out, and he's trying to see into the woods, but then he realizes the fire's gone. There's nothing but a faint glow of the embers that were in it. Onyx's horse is nowhere to be found. He has no idea where Onyx is. He has his sword out. That's all he has is his sword. And he's looking into the brush. He's looking into the woods, trying to see behind every tree, trying to see between every limb and every leaf, trying to make out what could be around him that made all that noise suddenly. And as he's peering through the darkness, trying to see, he starts to notice there's these faint blue eyes kind of behind the leaves, very faint, very hard to see. And then he looks around and he sees more and more, and he realizes there are bluish eyes all over the place. He has no idea what could be giving off this glowing blue eye. So as he's peering through, trying to see, suddenly they come lashing out. And as they're running towards him or coming towards him, he couldn't tell. He didn't really hear footsteps. He just heard movement, and he couldn't make out what that movement was. But he also was hearing this like moaning sound and this whisper sound, but it was deafeningly loud, so loud he could barely hear his thoughts. They were just overpowering him. But nonetheless, he's prepared, and as they got closer, he starts to swing. But as they got closer, he also started realizing these are not people. These are something else. They're kind of have a body shape to them, but not quite. And he wonders, are these specters? Are these some form of ghost? What are these things? Glowing eyes, a transparent type body that didn't seem to make contact with the ground, but yet had arms, were coming at him so quickly, he didn't even have time to really be in shock and to even understand what it is he's looking at. Because as they approached, he just readies his sword and just starts swinging. And he's slashing and he's thrusting and he's rolling and dodging and he's jumping. He's trying his best to avoid being hit by these creatures, by these specters. And he just keeps fighting, keeps moving, trying not to be hit. And every time he lands a good thrust or slash onto one of these creatures, the body seems to almost turn to smoke or just kind of dissipate into the air. And he just in shock by that, but yet can't take a moment because he's still being attacked from so many. There's so many, they just keep coming, so many. And he doesn't know where they're coming from and why there's so many. And Waukeen, being this valiant warrior who's so used to being faster and stronger than anything he's ever faced, felt himself feeling a little outnumbered to a point where he was struggling to keep up. Though he's fast and agile and strong, these things seem to just never stop coming. And he can only swing so fast and land so true before they start to catch up with him. So as he's dodging and moving and thrusting and slashing and doing his best to take these enemies out, he felt like he was getting sluggish. He felt like something was slowing him down, almost as if something was dragging him down. His sword stopped moving as quickly. His feet stopped moving as fast. And he wondered, where's his horse? He thought, maybe I need to get an escape out of here. I need to back away and maybe prepare better for whatever this is that is attacking him. And as he's running and looking around for his horse while still trying to fight these specters that are coming from all directions, Waukeen looks around and notices that he sees one specter coming at him head on. And as it's approaching, he's preparing to attack this specter as it gets closer. And right before it gets to him, he feels like something has just taken his breath away, like something knocked the air out of him. And he's trying to take a breath, but as he tries to breathe in, it just stops short. And suddenly a pain starts to kind of fill his chest. And he noticed the one that was coming at him stopped. And he kind of looks around a little bit and he sees the rest of them all stop. And he's wondering, why have they stopped? Why aren't they coming closer or attacking me still? And he's got his sword up still, and he kind of looks down, and when he looks down, he sees a hand protruding through his chest. He sees these gnarly fingers with long talon-like fingernails and it's just sticking out of his chest from his back. He immediately takes his sword, turns it behind him, and thrusts backwards, stabbing the specter that was behind him. And as soon as he lunges that sword into the specter seems to evaporate. The hand that was stuck through his chest is now gone. But then he looks down and he sees this hole in his chest, blood pouring out. He looks around and all the specters are still just looking at him. None saying anything, none doing anything, no more noise, no more movement. They just look at him. Feeling his energy drain quickly, he starts to kind of crumble to the ground, still holding his sword, still prepared in case they keep coming. But he's having a hard time even maintaining his balance. So he kind of drops down to his knees. And as he drops to his knees, he keeps looking around, and they just keep looking. And they keep watching him. And he tells them, come on, come on. He's not done. He's ready to keep fighting. But they don't move. And as they watch him crumble to the ground more, he falls back onto his back. And he's struggling to get air. He's struggling to keep his breath. And he's still holding his sword as hard as he can. And he watches as they all turn and start to go away. And as he watches them go away, he feels this calmness, this stillness kind of fall over him. He feels this warmth kind of start to grow all over his body. And he doesn't know what he's feeling. He doesn't know what this is. But all in his mind, he's not done. He wants to get back up. He feels like I can just get back up. I can get back up. But he doesn't move. And he just keeps laying there. As Waukeen laid there, feeling this shortness of breath and this pain in his chest, and he keeps looking down at this hole, this massive hole right in the middle of his chest with blood just pouring out of him. He starts to come to terms with what may be happening. So as he lays back, he's looking down, he kind of looks up at the sky, and he closes his eyes for a second, just thinking, I need to get my composure back. Maybe I'm going to be okay. He's still fighting it. He's still kind of in denial about what may be happening. And when he closes his eyes, he tries to take a breath in. And when he tries to take that breath that keeps stopping short, he opens his eyes again. And when he opens his eyes, he noticed the fire is burning bright right next to him. Very, very bright still. Then he notices Onyx is laying down on the other side of that fire. Not moving, sleeping, sound, it seems. And immediately, Waukeen looks down at his chest, and nothing. There's no hole, there's no blood, nothing's torn, ripped, broken. He's fine. His sword is still sheathed. It's like none of it ever happened. And then he thinks to himself, was this a dream? Was I dreaming just now? How did this happen? This felt too real to be a dream. He stands up, he looks around, he walks the edge of the camp, doesn't see anything, doesn't hear anything. No signs of anything ever happening. Realizing that this must have been a dream, one of the most realistic dreams he's ever had, he wasn't unable to go back to sleep. He couldn't sleep. He said, that's it. We're done. He packs up, gets the camp ready, gets Onyx up, grabs Onyx, and they start trekking through the forest. Now at this point, it's been most of the night anyway. There's still a couple hours until daylight, but he decides, that's it, we're moving on. And not only did they move on, he double timed it. He is moving as fast as they can go through this forest because he knows he still has a whole nother day of travel left in here. So he is moving as quickly as possible. And of course, he travels all day, still dealing with all of the eerie silence, the lack of life in this forest. always feeling like eyes are upon him, always watching him, everything he's doing. He never feels like he's alone, and yet hears nothing, feels nothing except for eyes. Doesn't sense another human, nor does he sense any other real life around him. But he ignores it and keeps going. This time, as he's traveling and it starts to get dark, he's preparing himself, realizing he does have to get some rest. Scared to sleep, though, he stays up as long as he can. He finally falls asleep that night, and when he wakes up, everything was fine. Nothing else to be concerned about. So Waukeen keeps on going. He gets the horse ready. It's the next day. Another half a day of travel through the woods, and finally, following this map that was poorly drawn, but at least gave him some idea of which direction to go and how to get there, he gets out of this forest and he finds this mountainous range of just mountains in both directions, very high, and he can't make out anything that's a landmark. But all he knows is it says once you get to this mountain area, you should be now going north. And when you start going north, you're going to just follow the edge of the mountain range north until you get to this specific mountain that has a plateau on it. And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for this mountain with a plateau. The mountain is the same height as all the other mountains. Nothing else stands out on it except for the fact that it's just got this flat part as you're going up, and then the mountain continues around it. So easy enough, that's what he looks for. And he travels, and finally he sees this mountain up there. As he approaches this mountain, he realizes there's not really a great trail to go up the mountain. You know, he can't find like somebody's carved out a road for him. So he's got to figure out a way to bring Onyx up the whole side of this mountain, even though there's no trails and there's no roads that's been cut out. So now he starts his process of finding a way up this very, very treacherous looking mountain. And these are not mountains with woods or any type of vegetation or anything like that. There's like desert mountains, which doesn't make any sense when you look at the area they're in, right? Because he's just next to a forest. And before he gets to that forest, it's a very, very lush green area. There's farmlands and there's just beautiful green fields all over the place. All the towns that are local to the kingdom all have lush green fields. So, but then suddenly you get to this mountain range and it's just desert looking. Just rocks, just large rocks. Everything is tan. You can't make out detail. Very, very challenging to see anything. Now, Waukeen has gotten to this mountain range and he identified the mountain that he was told to look for, right? He has the plateau on it. It stands out among all the other mountains. And he's trying to find his way up this mountain. And as he's trying to find his way up there, he's still very, very cautious of what he may run into. He doesn't believe that whatever messed with him that night is done messing with him. He feels like there may be something following him, but he hasn't seen it, he hasn't heard it, and he can't even feel it really. He just has a feeling that something more is going on. So as he's making his way up this mountain, he finally finds this plateau. The plateau that he could see from the bottom that he had to make his way to. And as he gets to this plateau, he walks around it and he gets to this point where there's this large cave opening, just a big black hole at the top of this mountain or at the top of this plateau that is darkness inside. He can't see it from the outside. It's almost like light stops at the entrance. So the light is there, it's pure daylight outside, and then as soon as you get to the entrance, it's blackness. He can't see inside. So he looks at Onyx, kind of looks at this entrance, and he's like, man, something ain't right about this. But he decides to go ahead and grab his shield, and he draws his sword, and he walks up to the entrance. The closer he gets to this entrance, he notices he hears like this whispering type sound, almost like something's talking or multiple people are talking, but not exactly to him, but he can't make out what they're saying. And he just hears this whispering sound, and it really makes him nervous about going in. But he knows that this is where he needs to go in order to complete this journey, because he really wants to help Channing with whatever this illness is, and he knows his father, the king, really needs this scroll to do it. He feels compelled to help Channing. He feels like Channing is a good kindred spirit that needs a little bit of help right now, and Waukeen cannot help himself from wanting to help others who need it. So he takes a deep breath, he grips his sword, tightens his shield to his chest, and prepares to enter this deep, dark cave.